My name is Victoria Winters. When I came to Collinwood months ago, I never dreamt a member of the Collins family would be suspected of murder, or that I would have to testify against him.
Oh, come in, Miss Winters.
Hello, Miss Winters.
Mr. Garner.
Well, you seem surprised to see me. Didn't Mrs. Stoddard tell you I'd be here?
No, I didn't have a chance to say more than 10 words to her this morning. When I got up, she was talking to Carolyn, and then the sheriff called me and asked me to come down here.
Well, I'm acting as legal counsel for Roger Collins.
I see.
Will you sit down, Miss Winters? I just want to ask you a few questions. Mr. Garner, would you mind waiting outside?
Now, it's my right as representative of my client to be present at the questioning, Sheriff.
All right, you can stay and hear what Miss Winters has to say, but I'm handling the questioning, all right?
I understand that.
Where is Roger?
Well, we're holding him.
Has he made a statement?
No, he's refused to say anything until Mr. Garner got here.
What's going to happen?
Well, I'm not in a position to say that yet.
You don't know?
No, right now, I don't know anything. I'm just here to ask questions, and you're here to answer them. Now, what happens will depend upon your answers.
Make me feel responsible for Roger.
Well, your only responsibility right now is to tell me the truth.
I'll do the best I can.
Good. Now, can you identify this pen?
Yes.
When have you known it before?
I found it on the beach at Lookout Point, near the place where Mr. Malloy was killed.
When did you find it?
A few days after he died.
How many days?
I'm not sure. 2 or 3 days.
Well, in other words, Sheriff, assuming my client had possession of the pen and dropped it on the beach, he might have dropped it any time within the 2 or 3 day interval after Mr. Malloy died.
I'm aware of that, Mr. Garner. Would you let me handle the questioning, please?
I'm sorry.
All right. You found the pen. Then what happened?
I took it back to Collinwood with me.
Did you find any special significance in the pen?
No, I just thought it was pretty, and it did look valuable.
How long did you have the pen in your possession?
About a day, and then it disappeared.
It disappeared?
Yes, I'd left it on the desk in David's room, and when I went back to get it, it was gone.
Who else was in the house when the pen disappeared?
Besides myself, there was David and Roger Collins. I thought David had taken it.
Did Roger see the pen before it disappeared?
Now, just a minute.
Just
Sheriff,
answer the question, Miss Winters.
Yes, several times.
Did he ever try to get the pen away from you?
No, but he wouldn't have done that because it would have looked strange.
Now, that's assuming my client is guilty, and that's an unfair assumption.
I'm not assuming anything, Mr. Garner, but I am going to assume you right out of this office if you can't keep quiet.
All right, Sheriff.
Now, when did you realize the significance of this pen?
When I saw one exactly like it. It was in a hotel in Bangor. It belonged to a Mr. Blair. He told me that Burke Devlin had given it to him, and that Burke had a duplicate. I thought...
You thought that Burke dropped the pen on the beach at Lookout Point the night that Bill Malloy was killed?
I was afraid of him for a while.
Well, when did you stop being afraid of him?
When I found out what really happened.
Which was?
Burke gave the pen to Carolyn. And Roger took it from her and lost it the night Bill Malloy died. Carolyn can tell you this.
Well, she'll have an opportunity to tell me. I've already phoned Collinwood, and she's on her way down here now. Well, what happened next?
Roger found out that I knew about the pen. Carolyn told him.
And then?
He came to me and told me his version of what happened that night.
Which was?
That he had been at Lookout Point that night, but he didn't have anything to do with Bill Malloy's death. He said that when he got there, he saw Mr. Malloy, but he was already dead.
Did you believe him?
Well, I wanted to believe him. I didn't know what I believed until...
Until?
Well, things started happening to me.
What things?
First of all, someone tried to get into my room in the middle of the night.
Who?
I don't know. I remember it being woken up in the middle of the night by hearing footsteps in the hall outside. And they stopped outside my door. And then my door started to open. Now, I had locked that door.
You're positive of that?
Yes, I am. I remember locking it. I was terrified.
Well, then whoever it was that was trying to get into your room must have had a key.
Well, I suppose so. Locked doors do not open by themselves.
All right, what happened next?
I screamed, and I heard the footsteps turn and run away. And then Roger came in.
And what did he say to you?
Well, when I told him what had happened, he said that I was crazy. That no one would want to get into my room, and that I must have imagined the whole thing.
Isn't it possible that you dreamed it all, Miss Winters?
No, it is not possible. Someone tried to get into my room, I know that. And someone also tried to run me down on the road from Collinsport. I know that, too.
All right, Miss Winters, please try to calm down. Mr. Garner, I have warned you about interrupting for the last time.
All right, Sheriff.
Now, Miss Winters, tell me what happened last night.
I was walking back from Collinsport at about 8 o'clock, and suddenly a car appeared. It headed straight for me. It tried to run me down.
Did you get a glimpse of the car at all?
No, I couldn't see anything because of the headlights.
And then you ran back to Collinswood?
Yes, and I phoned Burke. You know the rest.
And you placed this incident at 8 o'clock, is that right?
Yes.
And you're sure of that?
I'm quite sure. I left Collinsport at about 7:30. It's a good half-hour walk back to the house.
What were you doing on the road from Collinsport alone at 8 o'clock in the evening?
I'd come from the Blue Whale. I'd spoken to Sam Evans earlier in the day, and he asked me to meet him there. He said it was urgent.
Sam Evans? Well, what did he have in his mind?
He wanted to ask me some questions.
About what?
About Bill Malloy's death. I couldn't see what he was getting at, except that when I wasn't able to answer his questions, he became upset. No, he was more than upset. He was angry.
Well, why should he want to ask you questions about Bill Malloy?
I don't know.
Well, all right, Miss Winters, thank you. We'll check on that. That's all I have. Do you have anything else you want to tell me?
No.
Sheriff, do you mind if I ask Miss Winters a few questions?
Go right ahead.
You say that you didn't see this car that tried to run you down.
No.
And you say you didn't see the person who supposedly tried to break into your bedroom.
I told you I didn't.
Then you have no real proof that these alleged attempts on your life were made by Roger Collins.
Well, someone tried to kill me, and if it wasn't Roger, who was it?
I may have to call you back later in the day for a formal statement.
I understand.
Well, I have no more questions, so you can go now if you want.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Miss Winters, may I have a word with you?
Mr. Garner, I know that Roger Collins is your client.
No, I'm not going to mention Roger Collins, no, this case. I simply wanted to tell you that my son's coming down later in the day.
Frank?
Yes, he's assisting me on the case, and he told me he wants to see you.
Has he found out any more about Betty Hanscom?
I don't know. He didn't tell me. He just simply said that he was coming down and he was looking forward to seeing you.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing him, too.
Yes? Oh, good. Ask her to come in, please.
I want to thank you again for seeing me when I... Vicky. Hello, Carolyn. What's going on? Didn't your mother tell you? She told me that Uncle Roger was being held in connection with Bill Malloy's death. Why? Didn't the coroner decide that was an accident? Yes. Look, I'll explain it to you later.
You don't have anything to worry about, Miss Stoddard.
Mr. Garner, did Uncle Roger call you?
Yes, I'm handling everything.
Look, I'll see you later. No, don't go, Vicky. Wait for me. I want to talk to you. All right. I'll wait outside.
Carolyn?
Miss Stoddard, will you sit down, please?
What is all this, Sheriff? Why are you hounding my Uncle Roger?
Now, nobody is hounding your Uncle Roger. Would you please explain what's going on, Mr. Garner?
Well, the sheriff wants to ask you a few questions, Miss Stoddard. Just answer to the best of your ability.
What questions?
Well, have you ever seen this before?
Where did you find that?
Well, just answer the question. Have you ever seen it before?
Yes, that's my pen. Or it was my pen until it got lost.
Who gave it to you?
Burke Devlin.
And then you say you lost it?
Uncle Roger lost it.
Well, what was the pen doing in your Uncle Roger's possession?
He took it away from me. He said I shouldn't accept presents from Burke Devlin, so he took the pen from me to return it to Burke.
But he never did return it to Burke, did he? Because he lost it.
That's right.
When did he lose it?
On the night... On the night Bill Malloy died. Why?
Are you sure it was that night?
Why? What's all this business about my pen? Did someone find it?
Yes, Miss Winters found it. On the beach at Lookout Point.
Lookout Point. And you think my Uncle Roger lost it there? You think he killed Bill Malloy?
No, I don't think anything, Miss Stoddard. I'm just trying to collect
Did
information.
Vicky come to you with this wild story?
Well, she didn't come to me with a wild story. She told me what she knew.
She doesn't know Uncle Roger killed Bill Malloy or anyone else.
And she didn't say that he did.
Well, she must have implied it. Or why are you holding Uncle Roger?
We're only holding him for questioning so far.
Well, it must have been because of what Vicky told you. She must have a grudge against Uncle Roger. She has no reason to say that Uncle Roger or anybody else killed Bill Malloy.
She has a very good reason. Someone tried to kill her last night.
Kill Vicky?
Someone tried to run her down on the road from Collinsport.
What?
Do you know where your Uncle Roger was at 8 o'clock last night?
No. No, I was out.
I'm sorry, there are no more questions for now. Thank you very much for coming down.
Sheriff, you can't believe my Uncle Roger tried to hurt Vicky. You can't. It's not possible. Tell him, Mr. Garner. Do something.
You don't need to worry, Miss Stoddard. I'm here to protect your uncle. You sit down.
I don't believe any of this. I don't understand what's going on.
No, it's all right.
Hello? Ask Miss Winters to come back in here, will you, please?
We're going to take care of everything. It's all
I
right.
don't understand.
It's perfectly all right.
Miss Winters, would you take Miss Stoddard home, please?
Vicky.
And Miss Winters, will you stay in the house and try not to be alone until we get this thing cleared up?
Vicky, tell them Uncle Roger wouldn't try to hurt you. Tell them.
Let's go.
Why won't you tell them? Why?
Come on.
Hello? Bring Roger Collins in here.
Garner, thank heaven you're here.
Hello, Roger. I got here as soon as I could.
I hope you're prepared to sue for false arrest, because that's what I intend to do the moment I get out of here. Did you hear that, Sheriff?
I hear you, Mr. Collins. You're coming in loud and clear.
I'm perfectly serious. This little escapade is going to cost you your badge.
Well, as long as I still have my badge, I'm entitled to ask you all the questions I want to. And you better be prepared to give the right answers.
I'm prepared to answer any questions that you have to ask me.
All right. Why did you bury that pen?
I admit that was foolish of me.
Yes, but you're not answering the question.
I buried it because I thought it would lead you and a lot of other people to the wrong set of conclusions.
Because you wanted to conceal the fact that you were on Lookout Point the night that Bill Malloy was killed.
Well, yes.
Roger, you don't have to admit anything you don't want to admit.
It's all right, Garner. The sheriff wants the truth, and I'm perfectly willing to tell it to him. I have nothing to hide.
What were you doing there that night?
I asked Malloy to meet me there.
What for?
I wanted to talk to him.
About what?
To Does that matter?
Answer the question.
I wanted to discuss a business matter.
On a lonely beach at that hour of the night, is that where you usually hold business meetings?
It was a private matter. I wasn't satisfied with the way the lawyer was managing the cannery. It wasn't a conversation that I wanted anyone to overhear.
All right. You met him. Then what?
I did not meet him. By the time I got to Lookout Point, he was already dead.
You found him?
Yes. He was lying face down in a few feet of water.
Are you sure that he was dead?
If he wasn't dead, Sheriff, would he have been lying face down in the water?
All right, what happened next?
I went to my office.
Why didn't you telephone me?
Because I was confused and upset and worried, and I didn't want to get involved.
Well, why did you lie to me the next day? Why did you tell me you hadn't been near Lookout Point?
For the same reason.
Because you didn't want to be involved.
Yes, and I didn't want to put my sister through the ordeal of an investigation. Surely that's not a crime.
Well, keeping information from the police, hiding evidence, yes, that is a crime.
Well, what do you intend to do about it?
I don't know yet.
Well, I've told you the truth, Sheriff. I was on that beach, but I did not kill Bill Malloy. I had no reason to kill him.
Sheriff, no one has established a motive for murder.
I haven't accused you of killing anybody, have I?
Not yet.
You know, if you will just be honest with me, you'll have nothing to worry about.
I'm trying to be honest with you, Sheriff.
Do you have a complete set of keys at Collinwood?
Well, now, that's an odd question.
Well, answer it.
No, I have the key to the front door and a few of the rooms. My sister has the rest.
You have a key to Miss Winter's room?
Of course not.
Do you have access to your sister's keys?
Oh, I see what you're getting at. Our little governess must have told you that someone was trying to break into her room. Well, it's ridiculous. She imagined the whole thing.
Yes, but you're still not answering the question, are you? Do you have access to your sister's keys?
If I had some deep, dark reason for wanting to break into Vicky's room, I probably could have. Why couldn't I? But do you think I would have? Why, the whole thing is laughable.
All right, I just have one more question. Where were you last night at 8 o'clock?
8 o'clock? Well, I went for a drive. Why?
What was your destination?
I didn't have a destination. I just was driving around. I wanted to think.
Were you alone?
Yes.
Did you stop? Did anyone see you?
No, I didn't stop, and no one saw me. Why 8 o'clock? Is that the time that Vicky was supposed to have been run over? Oh, now, surely you don't think that
I don't think anything, Mr. Collins. I just asked if anyone saw you, and you better think before you answer. This might be very important.
No. Oh, wait a minute. I did stop for gas shortly after 8.
Where?
Oh, somewhere outside Clearwater, miles away from where Vicky was run down. Why don't you call the station and ask the attendant? He can verify the story.
All right, there aren't too many gas stations around there. We will check.
Yes, do that. And then perhaps you will believe the rest of my story. I have told you the truth, Sheriff, the entire truth.
I can do for you. You can tell me none of this is happening. I wish I could. Vicky, that car on the road. It could have been an accident. Someone tried to get into my room. That wasn't an accident. You can't believe Uncle Roger is doing these things. I don't want to believe it. I know Uncle Roger. I've known him all my life. He wouldn't try to hurt you. He could.
Sheriff, I couldn't harm my worst enemy, let alone some helpless little governess.
So you've told me.
This is all too preposterous. preposterous. Can't you do something, Garner?
Oh, be patient, Roger. Once the state police have checked out your alibi, you have nothing to worry about.
How long is it going to take them?
Well, while we're waiting, I'd like to ask you a few more questions about the meeting you had with Bill Malloy.
What about it?
Well, what was the purpose of the meeting?
I've already told you it was a business meeting.
Coffee?
No.
A business meeting? At that hour of the night on a lonely stretch of beach like that?
What else would I be discussing with Malloy if it
I
weren't
don't
for
buy
business
it.
matters?
Well, Burke Devlin has another theory.
I know about Burke's theories. He's trying to pin that old manslaughter charge on me, and he hasn't got a shred of proof, and neither of you.
Well, what if Bill Malloy had come upon some new evidence?
What?
Well, just supposing he'd gotten some new evidence. That would give you a reason for wanting him dead, wouldn't it?
That's pure supposition. There's not a word of truth to it.
Well, why don't you tell me the purpose of the meeting that Bill Malloy called between you, Burke Devlin, and Sam Evans on the night he died?
Garner, can't you do something? I can't take any more of this. This whole thing is too preposterous.
Well, somebody tried to kill Miss Winters last night. That much is not preposterous.
For all I know, someone is trying to do away with our little governess. I only know one thing. That someone is not I.
Now stay tuned for Beauty and the Beast, next on the Sci-Fi Channel.